The pass was already choking on blood when Leonidas lifted his shield and felt the mountain breathe against his back. Spears shattered, bronze screamed. The earth of Thermopylae trembled beneath thousands of marching feet, and the air tasted of iron and salt. Before him rose the endless ranks of the Persian Empire, banners rippling like a dark sea. Behind him stood only 300 men, shoulder to shoulder, waiting. This was the moment when strength no longer mattered, only choice. The Spartans stood locked together, sweat and dust streaking their armor, eyes fixed forward. Leonidas felt the weight of every life behind him. The empire pressed closer, confident, vast, patient. The mountain at his back offered no retreat. Only the narrow road remained, and the truth that whatever happened here would echo far beyond this stone-bound place. Long before that road became a grave, Leonidas had been shaped by harsher ground. He was born not merely to rule Sparta, but to suffer for it. As a boy, he endured the agoge, sleeping on reeds, stealing to eat, learning to master pain without a cry. He learned early that a king's life did not belong to himself, but to the law and the land. Those who knew him spoke little of warmth and much of steadiness. Omens followed him as he aged, whispered by priests and carried on the wind. Either Sparta would fall, or a king of Heraclid blood would die. Leonidas carried that prophecy like a stone in his chest. When word came from the east of Xerxes and a host without number, he did not rage. He listened. He measured. The empire advancing toward Greece was not merely an army. It was a promise of domination. Cities burned without battle. Kings knelt and lived. Xerxes claimed the world by right, and the earth bent beneath his march. Leonidas knew Sparta could not meet such a force in open ground. But Greece was not open ground, and the land itself still had a voice. Between mountain and sea lay Thermopylae, the hot gates, where stone narrowed the world and numbers lost their power. Leonidas intended to block the pass. He would hold it long enough for the Greek cities to wake, to argue, to gather, to choose resistance over submission. Pride whispered that Sparta could win. Duty answered that winning was not required, only holding. That tension lived inside him like a drawn bow. To withdraw would preserve his life and his crown, but hollow them both. To stand meant death, not only his own, but the lives of men he knew by name, by scar, by shared bread. Leonidas did not speak of fear, but it walked beside him. He knew the cost. He accepted it. He chose 300 Spartans, each a father of a living son, men who understood legacy, men who knew what it meant to be remembered not for survival, but for sacrifice. They followed without speeches. Bronze was polished until it caught the sun like fire. Red cloaks were brushed clean so blood would not show. Spears were checked, then checked again, as if ritual itself could steel the heart. Some prayed quietly to the gods of hearth and field. Others laughed, sharp and brief, daring death to listen. Leonidas, grinning in the dust, spoke the line that would outlive them all. If their arrows blot out the sun, then we will fight in the shade. Leonidas fastened his helmet and felt the weight settle him. The pass breathed hot sulfur and stone. Then the Persian herald appeared, offering mercy and demanding surrender. The words drifted across the narrow road like smoke. Leonidas answered with silence. Shields lifted, feet set. In that stillness, the choice was sealed. The path to death opened wide, and no man stepped away. The mountains stood witness as the empire prepared to test the will of a few against the hunger of many. The first clash came like a tide breaking against rock. Persian infantry surged forward, bright with color and confidence, believing numbers alone could bend the world. Shields locked, spears thrust. The front ranks fell, stunned by a wall that would not move. Steel met bone. Blood darkened the ground. Leonidas felt the old hunger for honor stir, and he kept it leashed with discipline. The enemy promised mercy if arms were laid down. Mercy meant nothing here. Leonidas knew the offer was bait, meant to awaken fear. He answered by holding the line. The struggles stretched into hours, then days. Persian dead piled in the narrow way, choking their own advance. Immortals replaced the fallen, warriors of silk and gold, but they died the same. Shields split, arms numbed, breath burned in the lungs, certainty eroded as time grew heavy. This was not the swift stand Leonidas had imagined. The empire adapted. Archers tested the sky. Somewhere beyond the mountain, betrayal took shape. When word came of a hidden path revealed, of Persians marching behind them, the plan finally broke. Retreat was still possible for many. Leonidas sent allies away and kept only those who chose to stay. No commands were needed. Certainty gave way to clarity. This was no longer about holding ground. It was about choosing how to die. The circle tightened. The empire closed from both sides, confident at last that the end had come. In that narrowing space, Leonidas understood the truth he had carried since boyhood. He had not feared death. He had feared obscurity. He had feared living as a king who saved himself while others paid the price. That fear burned away. The prophecy was not a curse, but a calling. To fall here was not failure. It was fulfillment. Thermopylae ceased to be a defense and became a declaration. The Spartans advanced into the jaws of empire. Shields shattered. Spears broke. They fought with swords, then fists, then teeth. Leonidas fell beneath a storm of blows, his body becoming ground. Others fought over. The line collapsed, but the choice did not. The empire won the ground, but not the moment. Dawn found the pass silent, but for crows and the hiss of the springs. Smoke drifted low over stone and corpses. Persian banners rose above a field of dead, yet the air felt heavy, unsettled. Greek allies watching from the hills did not see defeat. They saw a stand that had bought them breath and time. The cost was written in flesh and memory. 300 lives extinguished, a king dead. Sparta bled, Greece mourned, the earth drank deep. Yet something irreversible had been done. Never before had so few held so many for so long, knowing the end and refusing to turn aside. The sacrifice carved a line through history that could not be erased. Every oar pulled later at Salamis, every shield locked at Plataea, carried the weight of that stand. What carried Leonidas through was not his crown or his training, but the deeper choice to stand with his brothers to the end. Honor was no longer a word. It was an act repeated until breath failed. The empire still loomed beyond the mountains, vast and patient, but now it faced a Greece awakened by blood and example. History remembers Leonidas for defiance. But in the trial of Thermopylae, he learned that true victory is choosing sacrifice over survival. The question from the past lingered in every heart, waiting to be answered again. Walk with us through the old stories. Subscribe to Saga Weaver, where ancient warriors face impossible choices.